The idea that silver bullets are fatal to werewolves stems from a mix of mythology, symbolism, and folklore, tied to the themes of purity, divine justice, and the supernatural. While the specifics vary depending on the story or cultural origin, here's why silver is often considered deadly to werewolves. Silver has long been associated with purity and divine power. In many cultures, it is thought to ward off evil spirits, curses, and creatures of the night. Werewolves, as creatures often tied to curses or dark magic, are vulnerable to silver because it represents a purity that their corrupted nature cannot withstand. In Christian symbolism, silver is sometimes linked to the moon, reflecting its light and celestial purity, reinforcing its role as a tool against unholy or cursed beings. Werewolves, cursed to transform under the moon's light, are paradoxically vulnerable to this purity. Silver's connection to the moon plays a critical role in its deadly effect on werewolves. Werewolves are bound to the cycles of the moon, their transformations driven by its power. Silver, as a mirror of the moon's light, is seen as an extension of its influence. In this way, silver becomes the moon's weapon, capable of severing the werewolf's supernatural bond to it. The use of silver in supernatural lore predates modern werewolf myths. In folklore, silver was often used in rituals to repel or destroy evil entities, such as witches, vampires, and demons. It was considered incorruptible and resistant to magic, making it a favored material for weapons or protective charms. Werewolves, often associated with demonic or cursed origins, inherit this vulnerability. In many interpretations, silver has the unique ability to break or nullify the magic of a curse. Werewolves are typically bound by a magical or divine curse, and silver disrupts this enchantment. A silver bullet or blade driven into the heart is thought to sever the connection between the cursed person and the beast within, permanently ending their transformation and often their life. In some stories, silver is toxic to werewolves not just symbolically, but physically. It burns their flesh, poisons their blood, and disrupts their supernatural healing abilities. This vulnerability often manifests as extreme pain, with wounds caused by silver unable to heal, unlike injuries from ordinary weapons. The idea of silver bullets as a specific weapon against werewolves gained popularity with the 19th century German folktale, The Werewolf of Bedburg, and was solidified in modern culture through books, films, and TV. It became a definitive part of werewolf lore, emphasizing the use of a rare and precious material to highlight the exceptional nature of the beast and the difficulty of defeating it. Now that you know how it works, find a way to protect yourself. Take care in the darkness. They're out there waiting. You're back, and in one piece. Good. Take a seat. Add wood to the fire. There's more you need to know. Once, not so long ago, a crucifix was all it took. Hold it high, speak a prayer, sincerely, or not, and the vampire would recoil, hissing and writhing as though the weight of heaven itself bore down on its unholy flesh. It was simple, clean, and reliable. But like all good things, that time has passed. No one knows exactly when it changed. At first it seemed like isolated cases, a hunter here or a priest there, clutching their crucifix in trembling hands only to find the monster stepping forward, unperturbed. Some whispered that the old faith was waning, that the symbols we clung to were as hollow as our prayers had become. After all, how could an emblem of salvation protect a world that had forgotten what it was to believe? Others had darker theories. They said the vampires had changed. They had always been creatures of the night, But perhaps they were evolving, adapting to an age that no longer feared them. Where once they fled from holy symbols, now they studied them, stripped them of their power, and turned the old rules to ash. It's said that one vampire, an ancient thing older than the crucifix itself, claimed the symbols were never truly powerful, only the fear behind them was. And fear, it whispered, is such a fleeting thing. Now we don't talk much about crucifixes. We've traded them for UV lights, garlic grenades, and scientific ingenuity. Faith has been replaced with tech, prayer with precision. But sometimes, late at night, I wonder if that's the real reason the crucifixes stopped working. Not because we stopped believing in them, but because we stopped believing in ourselves. Maybe the vampires didn't take their power. Maybe we gave it away. It's the tale of the mermaids, not the gentle, shimmering beauties of fanciful paintings, but the grim and ruthless hunters who call the ocean their home. They say the sea is alive, not in the way of trees or beasts, but something older, hungrier. It craves what it cannot hold, the warmth of the sunlit world, the laughter of men. But the sea is a cruel lover, always taking and never giving back. Perhaps it was in a fit of envy or spite that the mermaids were born. The old legends speak of their creation, though no two stories are the same. Some say they were once women, cursed by the gods for their vanity or treachery, bound forever to the waters they once loved. Others claim they were forged by the sea itself, shaped from the foam and shadow to lure the foolish to their doom. Their upper bodies were made like ours, soft and familiar, with eyes that promised warmth and lips that could whisper sweet nothings. But their tails, they were the truth of them, sleek and sharp, scales glinting like wet steel, made for speed, for power, and for dragging prey into the lightless depths. There's a saying among sailors, beware the song that makes you forget your home. They speak of voices rising from the mist, voices that weave themselves into the rhythm of the waves until you can't tell where the sea ends and the song begins. But the song isn't an invitation, it's a snare. The moment you give in, you're lost. No one truly knows what happens beneath the surface when a mermaid takes her prize. Some say they drag their victims to hidden grottos, where bones litter the sea floor like fallen leaves. Others claim they feast, their sharp teeth tearing into flesh, though they never leave a trace for the waves to spit back. But there's a darker tale still, one whispered in the dead of night, that the mermaids don't kill their prey. Instead, they transform them, their hearts twisted by the cold and salt until they too become part of the sea's cruel brood. The mermaid is no solitary myth. Across the world their kin go by many names, each more chilling than the last. The Slavic Rusalka, a drowned maiden with hair like weeds, waits in the shallows to ensnare the unwary, her laughter sharp and hollow. In Japan, the Ningyo is said to grant eternal life to those who consume its flesh, though few who try live long enough to enjoy their prize. And in Africa, the great Mami Wata straddles the line between beauty and terror, her power a reminder that the ocean is not to be trifled with. Even closer to home, the tales have sharp edges. In the old ballads of Britain, the Merrow of Ireland and Scotland are said to wear caps of red that allow them to slip between sea and shore. Not all tales paint the mermaids as wicked. Some speak of longing and heartbreak, of creatures caught between two worlds. Hans Christian Andersen's tragic Little Mermaid gave her voice, and her joy for a chance to walk upon the earth, only to find the cruelty of men greater than the depths she left behind. But even in that story, the sea claimed her in the end, as it always does. For the sea is eternal, and its children can never escape its pull. Now, my friends, the hour grows late, and the wind carries the sound of the tide. Best you stay here by the fire where it's warm and safe. But should you wander too close to the shore, remember my tale, and pray the sea takes pity on your soul. They call it dragon sickness, though no fever burns in the flesh, no blight mars the skin. It is a deeper affliction, one that festers in the soul, rotting it from within like a slow, relentless decay. Those who come into contact with a dragon's hoard, be it gold, jewels, or relics beyond reckoning, find themselves ensnared by an insidious hunger that can never be sated. The symptoms are subtle at first. A lingering gaze upon the glint of a coin, a restless yearning for more, and then a tightening of the grip. What was once admiration turns to obsession. What was once mere wealth becomes life's sole purpose. And in time, the afflicted forget everything else. Kin, honor, even their own names, consumed by a singular gnawing desire. Greed is the harbinger. It whispers softly at first, promising security, power, dominion. But it does not remain gentle for long. It grows, taking root in the heart, twisting it until love and loyalty are but distant echoes, drowned beneath the weight of avarice. Those stricken with dragon sickness see treachery in every glance, theft in every kindness. They hoard not just treasure, but suspicion, paranoia, and the bitter taste of distrust. But the sickness is not bound to kings or warriors alone. It seeps into the marrow of any who dare to covet what dragons have claimed. Men, women, and empires alike have crumbled beneath its weight, their bones left to dust amidst the empty promises of glittering treasure. In the modern world, the sickness wears a different face, yet it thrives all the same. The relentless pursuit of wealth, power, and status drives men to forsake their families, their morals, their very humanity. The digital age, with its promise of endless prosperity, breeds a new breed of hoarder, those who measure their worth in stock prices, social media followers, and bank account balances. And so, the sickness endures, lurking beneath the veneer of civilization. It is no longer the dragon in the mountain, but the empty eyes staring at screens, the trembling hands clutching fortunes too vast to spend, the hollow voices whispering in boardrooms and counting houses. Greed is the oldest sickness of them all, and it never truly dies. In the icy depths of the northern forests, where the wind wails through the pines and the snow lays thick upon the earth in an eternal hush, there lingers a shadow, as ancient as time itself. The Algonquian people have spoken of it for generations, whispered tales shared by firelight, warning of the Wendigo. The legend of the Wendigo finds its roots among the indigenous Algonquian-speaking tribes of North America, particularly the Ojibwe, Cree, and Innu peoples. The creature is said to personify the perils of insatiable greed and the abominable taboo of cannibalism. Traditionally, it is described as a malevolent spirit or entity that possesses humans, compelling them to unspeakable acts of cannibalism, and transforming them into ghastly, famished wretches. Such tales served both as dire warnings and as a means to enforce societal taboos in times of famine. The Wendigo is a towering and skeletal figure, its emaciated frame draped in withered, tattered flesh that clings to bones protruding like gnarled branches. A fetid stench of decay hangs heavy in its wake, a grim testament to the souls it has consumed in its eternal pursuit of flesh. This monstrous being is often linked to the cruel winters of the northern forests, those harsh seasons when sustenance grows scarce and desperation takes hold. It is said that those who wander too far into the wilderness, or who succumb to the dreadful urge to consume their own kind, risk falling prey to the Wendigo's curse. Once the hunger is indulged, the victim is doomed to transform into the very horror they sought to escape. Hunters who stray too far from their settlements have vanished without a trace, their encampments left in ruin, the snow crimson with blood. Deep within the heart of the forest, the Wendigo lingers, an eternal symbol of starvation and greed. Though fires and prayers may hold it at bay for a time, those who know the old ways understand the immutable truth. Once the Wendigo seizes you in its grasp, it shall never relinquish its hold. And so the winds whisper on, carrying tales of hunger and horror to those who dare to listen. The ocean is vast, dark, and unknowable. It covers more than 70% of the Earth's surface, yet most of it remains unexplored. Strange shapes move in the depths, where light cannot reach, and the pressure alone could crush a human in an instant. But some say the ocean holds more than just natural wonders. Some say it holds something ancient, something monstrous, something that waits. In 1928, H.P. Lovecraft wrote The Call of Cthulhu, a story that spoke of an eldritch horror lying dormant beneath the Pacific Ocean. Cthulhu, an immense creature with a grotesque tentacled face and enormous bat-like wings. A being so vast, so alien, that its mere presence could drive a person insane. According to Lovecraft's tale, Cthulhu sleeps in the submerged city of R'lyeh, waiting for the stars to align. Then, he will rise again. Legends of sea monsters existed long before Lovecraft put pen to paper. Across cultures, across centuries, sailors whispered of things too large, too terrible to be natural. The Vikings spoke of the Kraken, a beast with tentacles long enough to pull entire ships into the abyss. The Polynesians told of sleeping gods beneath the ocean floor, gods that should never be disturbed. Some believe that Cthulhu isn't just fiction, that Lovecraft, whether knowingly or not, tapped into something real. In his writings, cults exist in the shadows, worshipping the sleeping god, preparing for his return. The idea of Cthulhu is terrifying not because of its physical presence, but because of what it represents. It is a reminder that humanity is small, insignificant, that there are things lurking in the darkness beyond our comprehension, waiting patiently, biding their time. In Lovecraft's words, we live on a placid island of ignorance in the midst of black seas of infinity. As deep-sea exploration advances, new discoveries continue to raise more questions than answers. Strange, organic structures found at depths where life shouldn't exist. Abyssal trenches that lead to uncharted networks of underwater caverns. And the unsettling reality that, despite our technology, we have only scratched the surface of what lies beneath. What if the cults are right? What if the stars are aligning? And what if the noises in the deep aren't ice, but something waking up? The sea is restless. People vanish. Strange dreams plague those who live near the water. And sometimes, just sometimes, The whispers speak in a language no human should understand. Cthulhu waits, and soon he may no longer be sleeping. Baphomet, a figure shrouded in mystery and controversy. Its origins trace back to the darkest recesses of medieval legend. First whispered among the Knights Templar during their trials of the 14th century, the name Baphomet was accused of being the deity of their secret rites, an idol of forbidden knowledge and blasphemy. Yet, beyond accusations and myths, Baphomet's true nature is far more complex. Some claim it to be an embodiment of divine duality, a being that represents the unity of opposites, a force that stands beyond the mere dichotomy of good and evil. Male and female, light and shadow, creation and destruction. Baphomet is all, and none. Today, Baphomet remains a potent symbol within various esoteric traditions, most notably adopted by 19th century occultist Eliphas Levi, who popularized the modern depiction we recognize today. To some, it represents the reconciliation of opposites, an understanding that light cannot exist without darkness, nor truth without deception. The Knights Templar, an order of warrior monks, were accused of worshipping Baphomet during their trials by the Inquisition. Allegedly, they revered a mysterious idol. Some say it was a bearded head, others a monstrous form, but no evidence of its worship was ever definitively found. Was Baphomet truly their secret deity, or simply a fabrication of their persecutors? History leaves us with only fragments of the truth, lost within the pages of time. Today, Baphomet's imagery transcends occult circles, appearing in heavy metal music, Gothic art, and even as a political statement. It has become a symbol of rebellion, of questioning established norms, and embracing personal power. Despite the fear surrounding its image, Baphomet is not the devil, nor is it an evil force. It is a reflection of the human journey, a guide through the labyrinth of understanding. To those who dare to look beyond the surface, it offers a path of transformation and balance. But be warned, knowledge without wisdom can be dangerous. So tell me, do you seek the truth, or do you fear it? Before dragons took to the skies, before Sauron forged his rings, there were older evils, creatures of wrath, wreathed in flame, clad in shadow. They were the Balrogs, and where they walked, only death followed. In the beginning, before the world was shaped, there existed beings of pure energy, spirits known as the Maiar, less akin to the gods of Arda. Some of these spirits would become wise and benevolent, serving the Valar to guide the world toward order. But others were seduced by the whispers of the first great evil, Morgoth, the Dark Lord before Sauron. He corrupted them, twisted their essence into creatures of fire and darkness. These were the Valar Aukar, demons of war, known to mortals as Balrogs. When Morgoth unleashed his wars upon the world, the Balrogs led his armies. Not dozens, not hundreds, but a handful. And yet, their presence alone could turn the tide of battle. Where elves and men wielded swords, Balrogs carried whips of fire, blades of molten death. They did not fight with honor. They overwhelmed, they crushed, they burned. In the final war against Morgoth, the Valar returned to the world, bringing destruction upon the Dark Lord's armies. Dragons, orcs, and Balrogs alike were hunted down. Many were slain in battle, their spirits broken and cast into the void. But some fled. These survivors crawled into the deepest pits of the earth, hiding in the blackness beneath mountains, waiting in the abyss for an age that would never come again. By the time of the Third Age, only one Balrog was ever seen again, the one called Durin's Bane. But if one remained, could there be others, buried deeper still, waiting to wake? What makes a monster truly terrifying? Is it their strength, their power, or their purpose? The Balrogs were not mindless beasts, nor were they kings ruling over empires of fire. They were weapons, forged by Morgoth's will, existing for war and war alone. And perhaps that is what makes them truly terrifying. Not their power, but their simplicity. They did not crave a throne. They did not desire the world. They only sought to burn it. Throughout history, countless men have reported the same haunting experience. Visions of an irresistible woman in their dreams, only to wake up drained, weak, and forever changed. The succubus. But this is no ordinary nightmare. The succubus isn't just a ghost story. From medieval Europe to ancient Mesopotamia, every culture has whispered warnings about her. She seduces, she deceives, and she takes what she wants. The origins of the succubus are deeply rooted in ancient mythology. In Mesopotamian legend, Lilith, the supposed first wife of Adam, was cast out of Eden for refusing to submit. Some texts describe her as the first succubus, a vengeful spirit who preyed on sleeping men. Ancient Jewish and Babylonian traditions feared her as a demon who would steal the breath of newborns and haunt those who lay alone at night. The term succubus itself comes from medieval Latin, meaning to lie beneath, referencing the creature's method of attacking its victims. During the Middle Ages, church authorities warned of these demons visiting monks and priests, tempting them in their dreams and corrupting their souls. The succubus was seen as a punishment, a test of one's faith, and an omen of doom. As Christianity spread, the lore of the succubus intertwined with that of witches, leading to horrific accusations and trials. Women accused of seducing men through supernatural means were often labeled as agents of these demonic beings, further fueling the hysteria surrounding the succubus myth. In modern times, the legend of the succubus has evolved. No longer just a nightmare, she walks among us, hiding in plain sight. A mysterious stranger at the bar, a fleeting face in a crowded street. Her hunger is eternal, and the hunt never ends. So if you ever feel a presence in the night, a weight pressing down on your chest, a voice calling to you from the darkness, ask yourself, is it just a dream? Or is something waiting for you to close your eyes? Sleep well, if you can. Before the internet, before the printing press, before even the fall of Rome, there existed a name so dangerous, its very utterance was considered an act of heresy. Not Demogorgon the pop culture monster, not Demogorgon the dungeon boss, but something far older, far darker. The first written record appears in the 4th century, attributed to the scholar Lactantius. But the context is unsettling. He doesn't describe it as a myth. He writes about it as one might document a natural disaster, something inevitable, unstoppable. And then, for 800 years, silence. By the Middle Ages, something changed. Where earlier scholars had treated Demogorgon as an academic curiosity, now we find systematic erasure. Not just deletions, entire manuscripts destroyed. The 1396 Liber de Daemonum lists over 7,000 demonic names. Except one. The few surviving references are troubling. A 1486 witch trial transcript from Bavaria describes the accused muttering about the two-faced king before her tongue was cut out. A Venetian inquisitor's personal diary from 1521 warns, "Do not investigate the Gorgon heresy. Some doors, once opened, cannot be closed." John Dee, occultist to Queen Elizabeth I, wrote of it in codes even modern cryptographers struggle to break. The infamous Grand Grimoire of 1522 dedicates an entire chapter to the first and final demon, though every surviving copy has those pages mysteriously removed. Even in the 20th century, the pattern continues. Aleister Crowley's personal copy of the Lesser Key of Solomon contains a handwritten note beside the Demogorgon entry. The only true God is the one religions fear to name. Perhaps most disturbing are the modern parallels. In 2017, Swiss neurologists documented a seizure patient who recognized Demogorgon, not as fiction, but as a figure from her epileptic visions. Her brain scans match patterns seen in religious ecstasy. This wasn't unique. Temporal lobe disorder worldwide produce eerily similar visions, dual-faced entities, watching presences. The brain has its own bestiary, and at the top sits an ancient, two-headed nightmare, carved into our neurons long before Lactantius gave it a name.